Dear students, Assalamu alaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Welcome to our new English session. Today, inshallah, we will continue discussing our new story, Alive in the Woods. We are going to talk about the genre and the comprehension strategy. But first, let's have a quick summary about the story itself. Our main character in this story is Henry David Thoreau. He is a naturalist and a writer. He had a problem that he cannot concentrate enough to finish his book because his family made noise in the house. Then he left his house and went outside away from the city, and he was thinking about having his own place in the woods so he can concentrate and finish writing his book. After that, one of his friends, his name is Ralph Waldo Emerson. He was also a writer, and both of them shared the same interest in nature. His friend Ralph decided to let Henry use part of his land near the pond, and then Henry already built his cabin and moved to live in the woods. The next part of the story tells about some encounters with the animals in the woods, like the loons and the moles, and after that, the last part in the last paragraph here, he went back after he finished writing his journal to turn it into a book. The first point we are going to mention is the comprehension strategy. We have here ask and answer questions. When you read, you can ask yourself questions to check your understanding. Asking questions such as what just happened or why did that happen can help you look for answers. You can also ask and answer questions about the whole selection. For example, in the first paragraph, in this part, I read that Thoreau wondered how he could write a book with such noise in his family's house. From this I can infer, or I can understand, that Thoreau needed to find a place of his own because the noise in his family's house made it impossible for him to write. He needed a quiet place. So when you read this paragraph and, for example, you ask yourself, or I ask you, why couldn't Henry write his book at home? When you answer and say because his family made noise, so your answer means you understand the part that you read. After that, the genre, as we can read the title, the narrative nonfiction. Our story here is an example of the narrative nonfiction, as it gives what facts about real people and events. The main character here, Henry, and all the events that we read about are real, not made up. They actually happened before. Okay? Also, it tells about events in the sequence that they happened. As we read our story, the first part we got his problem at home, and then he left, then he managed to build a cabin, then he lived in this cabin for a while to finish his book, and finally he returned home. This is the sequence. Okay? The last point, it may include both primary and secondary sources. What are the primary and secondary sources? Here we have an example for both of them. The secondary source retells or interprets information from a primary source. What does it mean? The story that we read, most of the paragraphs are not written by Henry himself. Again, up here, the first part, for example, the first paragraph, also the second, and the rest of this page, all of these paragraphs are talking about Henry, but not written by Henry. He didn't write these parts by himself. So these are secondary sources. What about the primary source? Down here in page 52, this part is taken from his journal. Henry wrote it by himself. As it is written by Henry, so we call it primary source. Also here there is another example. I have a great deal of company in my house. He wrote, because we know that this sentence is written by Henry, so it is a primary source. What about the rest of the paragraph? No, it is not written by Henry, so it is a secondary source. Again, let's have a look. The primary source provides first-hand information about a topic. Autobiographies, journals, and letters are examples. Autobiographies, when someone writes his own life, this is an autobiography. Also journal, like Henry here, it's kind of a notebook to take some notes. And letters, the regular letter to send to a friend or to his family. So again, it is first-hand information about a topic, while the secondary just retells the information from the primary source. I hope you understand the difference, and by this we reach the end of our session. If you have any question, please send it to me on Classera, and see you later inshallah. Wassalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.